Although weeping lasted all night, I know that joy comes in the morning light. So I'll march on to a new song, 'cause I've been marching to that old one way too long. And I gotta move on and take new steps every day, 'cause I know there has got to be another way and a brighter day. So I march on.
Hello, and welcome to Pure Live. You are exactly where you're supposed to be. It is 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, Friday. It's Friday. Okay, so forgive me if the connection is choppy. I've been told it's a little choppy. Hopefully, it'll catch up. In the meantime, y'all know that we start with our sponsor. So here we go. I always dance every time I hear that. But maybe it's the music in me. I don't know. But I will show the other sponsor later. Right now, we are going to introduce our wonderfully talented guest, the stylist, the one and only, the Alexis.
Hello.
So dramatic, right?
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
This is a warm introduction.
Thank you so much for being on the show.
Yes, thank you for having me. We're excited. Girls' night in.
Girls night in. Hey, girls night in. Okay. And just so y'all know, and I know you saw the sponsor that I put on first, Dreamers, yes. This is how I met this wonderful human being. Okay. So I hope y'all catching on, because I done told you. All right. So we're going to start off with Alexis. Please start with introducing yourself.
Yes. Well, Asia, thank you again for having me here. Yes, my name is Alexis Aghayere. I am a stylist, a style consultant, and founder and CEO of CURATE Consulting. I am based out of Chicago, Illinois, born and raised. Well, originally a Burbs girl, but live in Chicago now. The Burbs, Aurora, Naperville, is where I was raised, but now I'm in actual downtown, right? Chicago. So, yeah, that's a little bit about me. And in terms of my business, high level, my business is all about empowering and motivating women, hardworking women, entrepreneurs, business owners, working professionals, just women who have just been dedicating their lives to pouring into others. And so my job is to give them the tools and guidance to pour into themselves through their wardrobe, right? Authentically and through their style identity. And if they don't have one, helping them find it. So they are the best version of themselves. So in a nutshell, that's what I do, and that's what I love.
Absolutely. And I'm excited about her because I need people like her. Y'all don't understand. I don't do my stylings myself. I got my daughter, my husband, like people just contributing into this look. Y'all don't understand. It's
Yeah.
not just me. I am not this fashionista. I am not. But I'm certainly grateful that I met you, Alexis. So, and real quick, yeah, I'm a suburban chick too. Uh, I after I was born, we were raised in Richmond Park, so we claim Chicago, but truth of the matter is, I lived there, but like a hot second.
There you go. There you go.
I'm just saying, to be honest. Anyway, so tell me, what were your original aspirations before we get into the here and now?
Sure. Well, I guess we can kind of break it down to just my humble beginnings and just where I started.
Yes.
So, in terms of my formal education, it was in fashion design and merchandising. Went to Illinois State University for my formal education there. Um, and originally I had a limited idea of what being in the fashion industry was, right? I originally thought, you got to work for a fashion house, right? And then hopefully later, create your own label and make your own clothes. And that was kind of where my head was at, after graduation. And then I realized how dense the industry is, and so you kind of got to find your way. It's not as easy just, rubbing shoulders with the right people. Sometimes you got to work from the ground up. So I started like any Midwest girl would. I started in retail, worked several retail jobs within sales and merchandising, and thought to myself, what if I work on the floor and then work my way up and the corporate sector of that company, right, to make a name for myself. So I always had in my mind, start small but dream big, right?
Yeah.
That was my mindset originally, but I kind of was at a standstill, was kind of capped on the floor, just didn't really pan out the way I imagined. So I went ahead and decided to take a step back from retail and just recalibrate, figure out the next move. I had some odd jobs here and there doing administrative work, and did that for a couple of years, kind of figure out my next move. And while I was doing that, I just kind of was in a creative slump because I wasn't really using my degree. So within that time, I decided to kind of take the entrepreneurial route. And I dabbled in jewelry and accessories and did the designing for that. And partnered with my mom, and we had our own company for a couple of years. So late nights making handcrafted jewelry, and had an online presence.
Mom was involved too.
Yeah,
Okay.
So it's more of a family affair to keep us together, and we have like online presence. We did like some jewelry parties to sell. So we did that for a couple of years in midst of having a full-time job. And then, at some point had two jobs. So I was very, very busy. Again, this was kind of a weird period of my life where I wasn't really having that quote unquote fashion job yet. And so this was my outlet to kind of be creative.
So you had nothing to do.
Exactly. So I actually ended up stumbling on a role in product development with a workwear uniform company. And that was considered my big girl job. And they actually had an apparel division that I could work in. So, that was a full time job, paid my bills. And I realized that I couldn't do both and have a business. So I put my business on hold and just purely focused on my stability and, living the rat race 9 to 5 in product development, worked my way up, through the corporate ladder there. Was in that role for about 8 or 9 years.
So I'm gonna pause you there. I'm gonna pause
Sure.
you there. Let's start at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So you've always been into fashion.
Yes, always in the fashion, more or less. Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about that a little deeper. Why do you think you were always into fashion? What was it about that was going on in your lifestyle that made you say, "This is my world"?
You know what? It started kind of weird. When I was a child, I got into like beads, and I would just make little beaded animals. I don't know if you got into that, but there
I
was
did
different.
what my daughter did.
Yes, yes. So I was a huge fan. I was obsessed at one point, like 6 or 7, 7 or 8, around there. And I would make it for my parents, my friends, and then the bead animals turned into actual friendship bracelets, which then turned into actually
Wow.
making earrings and bracelets and necklaces as I got older, wanting to wear jewelry. And then people like, oh, I love this. And then,
Did you share with your friends?
yeah,
You know?
yeah. So I started making it for my friends and loved ones, and then, after college, that's when I figured, oh, let me turn to a business and make some money. You know what I mean? So that's
Yeah.
always kind of been my passion. And then during my high school, middle school years, that's when fashion really like kicked in for me. Because before I was kind of like a tomboy, like I didn't really care about fashion, believe it or not. But then it wasn't until like middle school, right? I was a tomboy. Could care less. Don't put me in a skirt. Don't put me in tights. Like, not having it. But I did love beaded animals and I did like jewelry. So that's where my passion for fashion came, was actually jewelry and accessories before it was actually clothing. And
Okay.
I didn't
So
really.
okay, I'm gonna interrupt you again. I apologize, but I just want to know, what like inspired you for that particular section? Because I saw my daughter do it. I've seen other people do it. What made you think, you know what, this is something I want to do. This is something I enjoy. Was there something you were trying to fulfill, or did you just like how it made you feel? What was the inspiration for that?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I guess in terms of making like beaded animals, like starting in that route, it was just a way to kind of pass time. I kind of felt myself being more like a lone wolf, or a lone wolf s, if you will, in my
So
younger
what about the
years.
accessories though that you were talking about? Like what inspired that part where you're dipping into the fashion of all? What inspired that?
I think what inspired that was obviously like peer pressure, right? And having a sense of belonging and, wanting to keep up with the trends and be relevant with your friends and, social acceptance, if you will. I think that's where it kicked off. And then, in high school, I saw, girls wearing different outfits. I'm like, ooh, that was interesting. But I I was kind of a rebel in that way because I didn't want to wear what everyone else was wearing. I kind of wanted to put my own, um, like my own way about it, my own. I don't know. I just wanted to have something that spoke to me. So I would find, certain little pieces of my closet, and I would just like piece things together. Like I might go into my dad's like closet, right? It was over like his business like shirt, and then I might like cut it up, and then, you know, tailor it to my size, and then like wear it with some pants. I don't know. I just wanted something different than what everyone else was wearing. So that's when I started getting creative, because I was all about, okay, peer acceptance, social acceptance, but I also wanted to feel original. I wanted it to be like me. So I think that's where, fashion and design, my creative juices started flowing there within that time of my life.
That's awesome. And while you're talking about this, I'm looking at you and noticing the whole look.
Thank you.
Yeah, I girl, I pay attention. And
Appreciate you.
you connected all of that. You have a whole aesthetic. So later we're gonna get into how you deal with other people, but when it comes to dealing with yourself, what are you thinking when you're creating your looks for yourself? What is your mindset?
Well, I mean, I guess it just goes back to just my evolution of style because obviously, like we kind of touched on this earlier, how I was kind of like a tomboy, whatever was clean, I would wear that. So it was kind of more, more on my masculine side of me, right? So clean lines, neutral colors, not a lot of bright colors, no pink, no nothing, right? And then in my high school, middle school years, it was more so, okay, let's throw on a skirt, attract a boy, right? Be cute, be on trend. Throw on, some heels, maybe, throw in a little bit of color. And so I was kind of tapping into more my feminine energy, which didn't necessarily feel authentic to me. And then fast track to me now, between my 20s and 30s, when I'm starting to really evolve and really come full circle with what my true style is and just who I am as a person. I feel like now it's kind of a juxtaposition between masculine and feminine together. So when it comes to my clothes themselves, I think they lean still more a little bit of masculine and with some feminine touches. Still neutral colors. You won't find me in like a bright pink anything. But I will incorporate, more feminine and soft colors in accessories, like a purse or a bold lip. So that's why you'll see me, like a little puff sleeve is more the soft, right? But then the t-shirt itself is very classic, very basic, clean lines, and then play on some pink here with the earrings. So that's generally how, I see fashion for myself, is just that harmonious balance between masculine and feminine. And that's really how I approach my style. So that's me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. We're definitely going to dig into that because you sound like me. So real quick, for those of you that are watching via YouTube, this is what I want you to do. Please subscribe, like, smash that like button. Yes, indeed. Thank you very much. So we're going to take a quick little break. And after the break, we're going to dig into how Alexis does what Alexis does. And, talk about the here and now. All right. So here's our break. Here we go. I always enjoy that last part. Okay. So we're going into the here and now. You have your clientele, you have your way of doing things, and I want us to break this down. Okay. So we're going to use me since you saw me. So, Alexis, let's say I come to you as a client. I tell you, and I'm giving you a real scenario because I am me. Um,
Okay.
so I come to you and I tell you, hey, I'm a public figure. I have my show. I sing also. I need a look. What is it that you need from me to start that journey?
Yes. So what I would first do, Asia, is I usually start with a initial consultation, right? Not all women have had a stylist in the past. So it's just more of an open platform for us to just chat for about 30-45 minutes. You kind of learn more about me. I learn more about you. And I kind of start asking questions about just what your style goals are, why you want to hire a stylist, right? What your goals are, what your day to day is, your personality, your lifestyle. Because essentially, we don't want to, build any type of service program or package that doesn't really resonate what your needs are and what you're going to need it for. So essentially, that's what the initial consultation will be. And then from there, we can start kind of narrowing down just, based on your responses to my questions, what type of services would make sense for you. Now, from what I'm hearing, right, you're kind of a jack of all trades, right? You are kind of all over the place. You're an entrepreneur, singer, songstress, right? So, um, we definitely would want to kind of get an understanding of just who you are as a person. And I would just highly recommend my signature package, which is called Closet Therapy. And it's essentially a comprehensive package, like a bundle of all the services that I feel would be effective in you communicating and you putting your best foot forward within your wardrobe. So for me, when you're out in the public, right, and you're in, different scenarios in the entertainment industry, I automatically think that you'll want to create a personal brand if you don't have one already. So that's why, I recommend my signature program, which is Closet Therapy, and it's in four sessions, right? Four different services. So the first session is what I call personal brand framework. And that is essentially where you and we really dig deep to kind of understand the origin of you, right? Who you were as a child, right? Your hobbies, your personality, what your style was like as a child, and then come full circle to who you are as a woman today, right? If that marries up or if there's a mismatch there, and what we can do to bring your true self back to the forefront. And then from there, once we kind of dig deep and kind of get an answer of those questions, then I will want to kind of split it up and understand or start building your brand in three characteristics: your value, your emotion, and your intention. And then from there, based on your descriptions of, your values, so what your non-negotiables are, right? What is like, how should your style behave, right? How should it function? And your emotion is, how do you want to feel in your clothes, right? What emotions do you want to evoke? And then third is intention. So what do you want your clothing to say? What do you want? What is your message? Like, what do you want to communicate, to your audience? And then from there, we start translating it into style words or style descriptors, right?
Okay.
Um, So, for instance, me personally, my style words are classic, effortless, and bold. Classic is what I value, right? I need something that's consistent and reliable. My emotion is effortless. So I want to feel calm. I want to feel comfortable, right? I'm be working with clients. So I want to look approachable and I want to feel approachable. And then intention is bold, right? Like my
Yeah.
job is to motivate and empower women to be their most authentic self and present themselves in a way that attracts what they want in life. And so I want to be bold, right? I want to be
Yes.
someone that aspires them to do that for themselves. So those are my style words that relate to who I am. And then that's essentially the personal brand framework. And those three words essentially is your personal brand. And then from there, we go into body shape analysis. That's session 2. So we want to ensure that we're styling you in the best way possible, right? To accentuate your best assets and
Okay.
de-emphasize areas that you don't feel comfortable with, right? And understand what that looks like. Third
Right.
section is closet detox. So now that we have figured out your personal brand, how do like what items in your closet resonate with your newfound style, right?
Right.
So figuring out currently what you love and what you don't love, and then your undefined items that you love but just don't know how to style, right? And that's where I come in.
Mhm.
So the closet detox is very critical to the process. It's daunting, it's overwhelming, you know, it could be emotional, but it's a critical part in the process. And then, you know, from there, we'll create a shopping wish list, right? So anything that's left, like your final pile of everything that you love and that speaks to your personal brand, we want to see, okay, what's missing, right? So there's any essentials like your basic, your tees, your jeans that you need to replenish. Let's add that to the list. If there's any items like a trench coat or a leather jacket that you don't currently have in your wardrobe, but you feel would resonate with your new style identity, then we want to add that on there, right? And then that's the closet detox process. So that's when I start, you know, taking images of all the items that you love, right? Whether that, you know, would be your workwear that you're trying to refresh, or a date night outfits, whatever it may be, right? I'm taking screenshots or pictures of those items. And then from there, we go into the wardrobe curation session, which is the most exciting. All right. We kind of shop your closet. And then from there, I create a lookbook for you. So all the pieces that you love from your closet, I'm making outfits that not only reflect your personal brand, but also adhere to your lifestyle, right? And your personality.
Mhm.
So that's essentially, you know, the groundwork of that package. And if for some odd reason, you know, that shopping wish list is something that you would need a support or guide on, right? Then we could add personal shopping as an additional service to that package. And I know the next question you might ask, I'm sure some folks in the audience might ask, well, oh, like, how come personal shopping isn't part of your signature package? Well, the pillar of my business is I'm all about creativity over consumption, and mindful
Well, can you break that down?
creativity over consumption. So, you know, us women, we shop for things that we love. So I want to, you know, encourage and challenge you to find new ways to refresh the hidden gems in your closet that you absolutely love
Mm.
and give it and, you know, breathe new life into it rather than having shopping be a default, you know, act on, oh, that dilemma of I have nothing to wear. It's I'm shopping because it's something that I feel it resonates with me, not something you know that is just an emergency purchase, right? I want something that you'll love forever. Um,
Okay.
that's what I mean by creativity over consumption, and then quality versus over quantity. So
Okay.
shopping with intention.
Right. Okay, so let me come at you with a different character.
Sure.
Because I've experienced some of this myself, whether people believe me or not. It's so funny, the things that people just don't believe about me is hilarious. I'm like, I don't know how y'all view me, but I'm a person. I deal with the same issues you deal with.
Right?
Hmm. So what I'm curious about is how do you deal with somebody that's insecure? So let's say they are in my situation, but they're insecure. They have concerns about how certain things look on them, um, how they are viewed, you know, by the public, and things of that nature. Maybe even some vibes of depression because of how they view themselves. How do you handle those kind of cases?
For sure. I feel like those type of issues relate to so many different women. And it really just comes down to patience, right? And having a little emotional intelligence for me to just kind of listen, right? I think listening and asking a lot of questions, especially in that initial consultation phase, really helps me kind of understand just where you're coming from. So in terms of the initial consultation, there is a form that I usually have, my prospective clients fill out before that consultation.
Okay.
So that way they can kind of, there's questions that will help me understand where they're coming from, right? Um, their job, their occupation, their hobbies, what their favorite colors are, what celebrity, they might use as inspiration for style, and then questions around, okay, if there's an area of your body that you're not comfortable with, please, describe what that is, right? And so there's just a number of questions on this form, right? And we kind of talk about it casually during the call to really kind of dig deep as to, why your response was I guess the reason behind your response, essentially, right? And kind of digging deep and where, because I don't want to style or put you in an outfit that you don't feel comfortable with. And that's why in all of my signature packages, body shape analysis is crucial to the process. So that helps me kind of understand A, your body type, and B, we really have, a candid conversation on what areas of your body that you're not comfortable with. And then from there, we get creative on the style techniques and style tactics that I feel would work well, right, for your body type, and or de-emphasize or emphasize the areas that you are looking to either accentuate or not, so you feel comfortable in everything that you're wearing. Because I always argue it's not it's the clothes. So it's all in how you dress it up, right? How you tie it up, how you belt it, right? It can always work for you. So that's how I would
It's
navigate
not
that.
the clothing that needs
Yes.
changing.
Yes.
So let's talk about this. Your business, Aghayere
Yes.
Consulting. And I put this, out there on the flyer style your way. So can you break down for us why you called it that and what it means to you?
Yes. So I would say it's kind of like a word play. It kind of goes into the pillar of kind of what my business stands for. So Allah, which is a la carte, right? So that's something that
Right.
you can purchase individually, right, or experience individually. And then curate, which is organizing things in such a way that resonates with a certain situation, scenario, or in this case, personality or style identity. So, instead of just, the idea is to ensure that and we're building a wardrobe that speaks to you, right? So we're looking at all the items individually and curating it in such a way that works for you as an individual and as for your lifestyle. So that's how all of CURATE came about.
That's so cute. I feel like that's just a perfect name. When I saw it, I was like, oh, that's so
Thank you.
adorable.
Thank you. It doesn't hurt that it's also a play on my initials, first, middle, and last name, the Awa part. So
Oh,
so it
I
kind
did
of
not
worked out
even
that
know
way. Yeah.
that. Yeah, cool, cool, cool. Okay, okay. So I decided that, when I decided to bring you on the show, that I was going to let you break me down. So that's what I'm doing.
Okay.
So as me, Asia, let's deal with initial, right? I come to you. This is our initial, whatever. I don't know about your background, which is weird for me. But anyway, I don't know about your background, but I know that I need a stylist. And I don't know if you picked up on my fashion or not, but some of the things that you said before, I was like, ooh, that's me. So like the colors, the
Yeah.
clean cut, the everything, I'm very I feel like I'm kind of formal with my casual, if that makes
Okay.
sense. Not quite as adventurous, but I do have like some jeans with holes and rips and whatever. But that's like two pair. Um, I have developed some other colors in my wardrobe, but I don't feel like I have a specific style, but others would probably disagree with me. You know, I've been described as classy, sassy.
Okay.
I've been described as, um, professional with a little spunk.
Okay.
So that's pretty much been the gist of the description of my wardrobe.
It sounds like you
So
need a consultation, Asia.
I think I do.
Call me up. Let's do it.
I'm gonna call you. So I'll call you for the full consultation. But like, how would you address somebody that has so much going on like I do? But like I said, you see me, so I'm gonna use myself as an example. But like, how do you address so much with so little?
Absolutely. Well, that's where the initial consultation comes in, and it's very a robust form that I have every client fill out at the beginning before we even meet, right? So that way we have
Okay.
some information to go off of. We're not just having a off the cuff conversation. I want to make sure that's productive, right? And so we get something out of it at the end of the call. So the questions that I'll ask, for instance, is what your occupation is, right? Your age, your hobbies, your personality, right? What is your day-to-day tasks, on a given day, right? What would
Mhm.
be considered your um, dream day, right? If you had to imagine, okay, there's no responsibilities in the world, what would you want to look like, right? If there was no
Mhm.
insecurities, right? If judgment wasn't an issue, what would you be wearing, right? What celebrities do you look up to that really like hit home that style that you're trying to emulate, right? That helps me kind of create a blueprint in my mind of like where we're going. So, for instance, you mentioned that your style, I would say, is more so classic, right, with a bit of edge and color. I would definitely want to get an understanding of, just your color palette, what colors you gravitate to, um, you know, in terms of your day to day, like what you're doing, right? So I don't want to necessarily, for instance, recommend these, skirts and dresses and heels if, you're going one appointment to the next, right? You need maybe something that mixes and matches, something that you can, you know, wear and then throw on a new pair of shoes, for your next event, but it's still is versatile from one event to another throughout the day, right? It seems from the conversation when you're describing it, you need a wardrobe that is interchangeable, right? That's going to transition from one event to the next, right? So, that's what I gather so far. That's what we would kind of talk through during your consultation. And for instance, you mentioned that you're not so sure about what your style identity is, right? So that's when I would probably recommend the closet therapy package, right? So that way we can really dig deep and go through the personal brand framework and then identify what your style identity is, you know? So that way your wardrobe can speak to that, right? And also it always comes down to how you want to feel, right? It's not necessarily about what looks cute, but like how do you feel in it, right? A suit can make another woman feel fabulous, and it could make another woman feel constrained, right? Or too prim or too proper, or you know, it doesn't go well with their personality or their lifestyle. So those are types of questions that I'm going to want to get out of you in the initial consultation. So that way we're both on the same page. And I know you also mentioned too some of the mental health issues as well, and just like apprehension of putting yourself out there, right? Kind of want to know where to kind of place the guardrails, right? I don't want to be pushing you into a direction that you're not ready for. Right. So that's why I have it in sessions. So not everything is happening at once. Right. So it's about 4 to 6 week program. So we have 1 week that goes into, personal brand framework, get kind of the groundwork there, and then body shape analysis, right? Figuring out your style goals, figuring out your body type, right? And then giving you, the education, the knowledge, and the tools of what type of silhouettes would work for your body type, right? And then what style techniques would be great to accentuate your body type to make you feel your best, right? So that way, any mental health issues that you might be concerned with, when you feel good and look good, I feel like that helps diminish those issues, right? Because it comes down to, how you're presenting yourself. It initially connects to how you feel about yourself, right? So your inner and outer world, I want that to kind of match. I want it to be two sides of the same coin. So your inner light shines through.
Yeah. And real quick, for the audience, because I know people be thinking like when we do stuff from home, we must be wearing like a cute top and nothing at the bottom. The assumption. I'm wearing the whole outfit. So let me stand up. So I have on the jacket, but I am wearing jeans.
Yeah, fabulous.
Dark jeans, with the jacket, trying to present professional but casual. So you said fabulous, but is that something that you would be like, oh, okay, yeah, that's a good choice, or that's an okay choice, but I would tweak it with blah 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 or whatever. Would you tweak it?
Well, since you stood up, I can kind of get a general idea of your body type, which looks to be more like an hourglass. So very like even proportions. So, I think I love what you're doing there in terms of accentuating the waist, right? defining that waist. So you did a good job there. And obviously, you are a host, right? And a business owner and podcast. So you are sending the right message, wearing that blazer, right? I'm loving, the lower cut shirt underneath, which is elongating, your top half. So yeah, all good things there. I would say I might challenge you on peppering in some color, right? And kind of seeing, your willingness to throw in some color, even if it's just, an accessory like your earring, because obviously you're going to be shown from the face up. So I would definitely want to play with maybe a bold lip if you're open, or some earrings to really bring out your personality. I would say even like a bold like blazer or layering piece. It seems like that's what you gravitate to for your shows. So we definitely want to figure out what layering pieces will be good to really bring out your personality on camera. So that would be, what I would consider me as an example, right? I knew I was going to be on camera this evening. So I was like, I don't care about the pants, but like, let me give some visual interest. I was kind of going with a boho vibe. It's summer, right? I'm done with this 50-degree weather. Let's go summer. So, I'm bringing it to me. I got a nice little airy white little t-shirt, right? Kind of threw in a sleeve.
Yeah.
Little visual interest with the earrings, and
Which I
some
love.
jewelry. Got a little turquoise, a chain to kind of give me a little bit of boldness there. And accentuating the color, right? The color add. But I went with a neutral lip. Why? Because it's too much color. I already got color going on the earrings. I already got color going on the jewelry. So I think for me personally, it would have been too much doing a pink lip, which essentially was I was thinking of doing. But again, less is more. I'm all about balance, right? And that's what works for me. But in my consultations with my client, those are the questions I'm going to be asking is, are you more of, a minimalist, right? Or are you more of a maximalist? So do you like all the bright colors and prints, or do you like to dial it back, right? I'm sensing you might be more on the classic side, right? With your jewelry. So, we might want to do more like refined, daintier jewelry, but maybe add a little bit, of like, like a diamond or some different colors there. So again, it's all about listening to the client, what they're looking for, but also being the stylist and helping them stretch, having like a stretch goal on, okay, what is it that you're not doing and how can we slowly get you to where you need to be?
Okay. All right. I do have one question. Real quick, I want to take a slight break. For those of you that would like to reach out to me to be a guest on the show, or if you have questions, here's my email. Take it down. I'm gonna give you a second. Did you write it? I don't know if you did. Did you do it? Pause if you did it. Okay, that's enough. And here's my social media. Also, what I wanted to bring up that I haven't brought up yet is I do have a Patreon now, and we are doing a promotion. So the first 10 people that subscribe to my Patreon will be entered in to win a drone. Yes, we have a brand new drone that we're willing to give out if you sign up. Patreon, there it goes. There it goes. There it goes. Okay, cool. So, moving forward, I want to say this. First of all, people like Alexis are important. Let me explain why. There's a lot of us out there that don't know what to do with ourselves. And even going into the mental health aspect of it, we need to know how to make ourselves feel better. And the look matters. Sometimes you actually have hidden gems in your closet and you don't know how to mix and match, which, yeah, I struggle with that. um, I had my young teenage daughter tell me, oh, you should wear these shoes, or you should wear these pants, or you should wear these together. Have you tried a belt with this? I'm not really rocking with these heels with this, and this goes with this line. All that stuff. I don't pay attention to that mess. But for a while, it was like, oh, I don't like how I look. I'm bored. I don't enjoy this anymore. It kind of changes your mood. It changes how you address things, changes how you approach things. How you feel about yourself matters. And that's why I wanted Alexis on my show so people can understand, one, there's this tool that you can tap into, and two, there's people out there that understand this. So, I definitely appreciate Alexis. Now, one of the things that I always have my guests do before we end our show is give their words of wisdom. So, wonderful, gifted Alexis, what would be your words of wisdom for the audience today?
Well, I would say dress with intention always. I find that words are never enough. And while you're at it, always look and feel fabulous and let your light shine through. And if you do that, there's nothing in this world that you can't accomplish. So please reach out, alacurate.com. I also have a YouTube channel, ALA underscore curate, CURATE. I've got several style nuggets on there. I also just uploaded a video kind of covering the latest spring and summer trend for 2025, and just how to style them for this fluctuating weather we have. And any one of you that live in climates like the Midwest here that go from 50 to 80 and still want to be relevant in trends, I kind of demonstrate what styles and latest trends that you can put together from your closet, and demonstrating my wardrobe as an example. So please check that out as well. And yes, thank you so much for having me. It's been a blast.
Absolutely. You're very welcome. And anything that Alexis has going on, if she shares with me, I will share with you.
Yes, I don't know, Asia, if you want to pull up the example of the
stylist.
Yeah, just so, because I'm all about visuals. I know we discussed kind of a example for
we did
how I would work with you, but just kind of give the audience an idea.
Yeah, but so let's see if I can show you. Oh, I know how. I have been, trying to cut out early, but this has been such a good discussion. So this is great.
I know. It's fabulous.
I love it. So let me know if you see it.
Yes.
You're the only one to tell me. Yes. Okay, cool. So your personal brand,
Yeah, so this is kind of what Asia and I were talking about. So, kind of in the personal brand framework, I'll kind of get a general idea, of your hobbies, your interests, what type of colors you're into, your vibe, right? To kind of figure out what your 3 style words are. Here is an example, if you want to scroll up a little bit, of a woman that I recently worked with. Yeah, so she is a nurse who's in her mid 40s, and she's a single mom, and she lives in Scrubs, right? But was in a new chapter in her life that she wanted to, find a wardrobe that's spoke to her and her newfound freedom, right? She needed something that's going to work on the weekends, work with girls night or going on a date. So that's kind of what we focused on. And we identified her 3 style words as minimalist, effortless, and soft. So I created a mood board for her. And if you scroll down, here is kind of a assortment of all the items in her closet that we wanted to work with. These are items that she absolutely loves, but just didn't know how to put together or kind of refresh for the new season, quote unquote, I guess fall, winter at this point. And then from there, I came back with actual looks for her, right? So as she wakes up in the morning, it's on her phone. She's got 15, to 20 looks to choose from. It, takes the stress out of getting dressed. And so this is kind of what I do here and, as part of the program. And here is another casual date night, all items here. Again, 13 looks so she can choose from, for girls' night or casual date night, right?
Nice.
Yep. All about you here. Yep. So here's just a little nugget, little example of kind of what I do for my clients. So if that's something that you're interested in or, that you resonate with, please don't hesitate to reach out. Would love to work with you.
Yay. And anything else you'd like to say before we close?
No, that's it. Alexis.com. Look forward to connecting.
I heard it. And I hope you saw it because I put it on here several times. Pay attention. Go ahead, write it down. And when I get my consultation, I will share.
Yes. And also my social media handles are on my website as well. So you'll click on
Awesome stuff. Again, Aghayere, as she said. And so thank you guys for joining us so much. Next week, we continue to have wonderful guests. We have Tara Jones next week. And then we have a special B-side, which is only going to be shown on Patreon. And I will be outside interviewing some really, really special guests. So sign up for that Patreon. Stop playing with me. This interview is also going to end up going on Patreon later. So y'all tap in while you can. Yes. All right. Yay. So thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you.
And anything you have going on, any promotions or any events, I will promote for you. So my guests can benefit from these things. And I want all of you guys to remember to embrace God's perfect design, which is you. Till next time, Friday night, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. See you then. Bye.
Bye.
Although weeping lasted all